I interrupt him as he's talking, and I'm like, "You're a virgin, aren't you?" And he says, "No, I'm, not really. I don't know." I was like, "Are you into girls or boys? What are you into?" And he said, I'm into women." That's cool. I said, you ever, you ever fuck around with one?" And he's like, "Yeah, I get my nuts played with sometimes." And then we all start uh, we all we all start laughing. And I was like, you get your nuts played with?" And he's like, "Yeah, like it's something I'm into." I'm like, "Ah, it's whatever you like, that's cool."
Welcome to the Fantasy Cast podcast, where three grown men pass the time by sharing their deepest, darkest fantasies. Here we go.
I don't like how I look in this camera. I look like shit. I think I look a lot better in real life. I think you look a lot better in real life. I think they do this on purpose. I don't know why. It's not optimized to make us look better than to make us look as good as we do. Yeah, you're making
look at me out.
Faces.
It doesn't make it any better.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take a dig on you. I bet you look good. Oh man,
yeah, that's
I'm
what
sorry.
I got from it.
Now I feel like a jerk. I bet you what I mean to say is I bet you if I was in real life standing in front of you, you'd look 20 times better. And if your camera
I look good.
If your camera is as bad as my camera,
shape.
Which it has to be, let me dig my way out of this. If your camera's as bad as my camera, what year's your computer? Yeah.
What year?
Okay, mine's 2022. So my camera should look better than yours, like the way I look on it. Okay, so by that reasoning, if I look bad and my camera is newer than yours, and I kind of said that you look bad and your camera's from 20, would you say 22?
2020.
2020? Okay, so that means your camera is making you look twice as bad as my camera's making me look because my camera is newer. Yeah. And I know that could only mean you look 4 times, by that math, you would look 4 times as good as you do on the camera. And me only 2 times as good. So you actually look better than me.
God, thank you, Mike. That's one of the nicest things anybody's ever said to me.
Okay, because it's like you sit in front of the camera at a Zoom meeting. This is part of the COVID thing where it was a test to see how much they can get people to be to break their spirits. Not only, and a part of that was probably in conjunction with the Zoom company to make these cameras that make everyone talk to each other, and it makes you look really bad. The lighting is really bad. It makes you look flat. It also makes everyone look like a mountain where their body is way bigger than their head. So everyone looks like a stack of mashed potatoes.
Yeah. And your voice is really like tinny and nasally. So you sound like shit. You look like shit.
Yeah, and
and you're like isolated from people, so everybody else looks like shit too, and you're just like imagining yourself just having this just terrible self-image, just completely broken spirits, very pliable time in our lives.
Exactly, that's what they want. They want you to be fighting with one another.
Yeah,
they want you to fear one another. That way, you are more desperate. Everything is more competitive, and then whenever they toss you a bone, it's like a prison mentality. Whenever they toss you a bone, like you guys are allowed to shoot fireworks off on one day of the year. You act like that.
Oh my God, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. You're not going to put me in jail anymore.
Thank you so much, Daddy. You're letting me walk around the prison yard in a circle for another 15 minutes. Thank you so much.
Exactly. So you just expand that to every aspect. Look at things that way, and you realize how unfree you really
100% correct. And I'll tell you another thing. I mean,
Go on.
You're absolutely correct, but I also think like it wholesale transitions there. If you look at the rise
Yep.
of video call technology and the rise of like dating apps, you know, I think you'd find a positive correlation between the two because people are just desperate and lonely and just absolutely like miserable seeking connection. And along comes Tinder, along comes whatever. Cha-ching, cash in. Speaking of technology, I thought it'd be cool. I had a cool idea for a product. Basically, like you pick out your
sorry, I'm getting my notes.
Yeah. When you're oh, hey John, what's up? Good.
What's up, man?
So like I was just telling Mike about this technology that I just thought of. Like at some point during like your kid's adolescence, like your son or daughter or whatever, like you pick out you like log onto this website, you pick out some like custom curated pornography for them. And so then on their 18th birthday, they get a link sent to them to their email.
Oh my God.
So you can help shape their like, their relationship with pornography. Yeah. But it's not weird.
Like if you die,
it's not like weird like you're like what happened to us,
not weird.
where your dad comes in.
No, it sounds weird, but it's not weird.
I don't know about your guys' experience, but like my dad came into my room with a black, basically like liquor store bag full of VHS pornography tapes, and he's like, "You get to pick one."
Wow. He did that to what? At
when
what
I
age?
turned 18. He's like, "Congratulations."
Have you seen what an 18-year-old?
Graduating, leaving the house, blah blah blah, and he just dumped out like a black plastic bag full of VHS pornography tapes onto my bed, where he was sitting on my bed with me. We were having like a heart to heart, and he's like, "You get to pick one of these."
Can I ask you a question really quick?
Yeah.
Have you seen what an 18-year-old looks like?
Yeah, of course.
Like lately, you've seen.
I used to be one. Oh, you mean like lately?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I couldn't like pick them out of a, just walking down the street and be like, oh, that kid's 18. But yeah, I know what you're saying. They're huge.
Well,
they're like grown men.
Different.
Yeah, they're like grown men.
Do you want to know why I ask?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, picture, maybe I don't want to say drive by a high school, but like for me, if someone has a kid who's 18 years old, look at them and really think about you, knowing what you know, giving someone that looks like that a black bag. Oh, forget. Yeah, Nathan, just forget it.
No, you're absolutely right. It was a different time.
You seem,
you know what I mean?
You seem like you're pushing back on the idea, and it's fine.
It's a different time to be alive, and that's why I thought this product would be cool, because
you said your thing
from that awkward conversation.
You said your thing, and I just want you to just think about it. Maybe when you're editing it, you can just like really just digest like what you're saying.
What am I saying?
Just decide if you want to keep it in or not.
Yeah, just sit on it, dude. That's all I'm saying. It's really up to you. It's just one of those things. As a friend, I should.
Yeah.
As a friend, I feel like I'm doing this as a friend.
Yeah, I feel like you guys are tiptoeing around saying something direct, and I wish you would just say it so you could speak about that on
you have
space.
You have to like you have to understand it yourself. You know what I mean? You have to learn yourself. If someone tells you,
I think that's a cop out, because you don't want to say what I know you want to say, which is that
what's
my
that
idea
then?
is.
I would love to hear it.
You think my idea is perverted?
Yes,
and you think it's a deviant idea to want to give your son or daughter push in the right direction?
No. I think maybe your dad shouldn't have sat you down one-on-one in a dark room, 3 p.m. after school, after you're crying or something, giving you a big bag of pornography. I think that's something that's not normal. Nathan, I'll tell you right now, that's not normal, dude.
Well, let me ask you this, okay? You have an older brother. I don't have an older brother, right?
Yeah.
Like Ryan, I'm sure Ryan sat you down bleep his name out. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure your brother sat you down and told you about the
Mhm.
birds and the bees all the time, and you guys shared pornography. And what's yours is his, and what's his is yours, and he would show you different scenes he liked, whatever. I didn't have that.
Okay, you
know?
think
A lot of people didn't have that. Mike, John,
you come
has
over
4
to my
brothers.
house as a teenager, you see my bigger brother, and you draw that conclusion that, hey, Mike and this guy share pornography all the time. Because I can tell
John,
you, I don't want to.
did you share pornography with any of your brothers at any point?
Definitely. But I know Mike's brother, and I know they did not have that relationship.
Maybe that's
Might
something I missed out on. Maybe I'm actually jealous. Maybe I missed out. I mean, who am I to judge? I guess I've been watching a lot of couples therapy, this TV show. And so I really feel like I can get into people's heads now and be a therapist, a couples therapist.
I think
is
you could.
part of my
you'd be great
fantasy.
at it.
I have a little fantasy about it today. Hey, I have a email someone sent us. Can I read it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Tell me if I'm being pushy. It's becoming a problem in my life. I've been really pushy lately. Okay, dear Fantcast Pod, I'm refreshed and blown away by all of your episodes. So refreshing to hear 3 intelligent men be brave enough and strong enough to share their fantasies without fear. Kudos to all of you and bless the work you do. How about that?
That's really
Nice.
powerful. I like
It's
that.
good. Okay. A thing I can't get out of my head. Well, I should say one of the many things that I can't get out of my head because you guys say so many interesting things that are so fascinating. But one of the things that keeps coming to my head is your idea for a place for women to go anonymously to torture people as a way to get their sadistic tendencies out of their system.
Mhm.
Do you guys remember talking about
Oh
that?
yeah.
Okay, we mentioned it a few times. This really struck a chord with me because as a woman, they're a woman, I can say emphatically that we all women definitely have sadistic impulses that society will not allow us to be open about or express. So it comes out in different ways, which you 3 men have bravely articulated in an even and fair manner several times on your podcast. Fair. Thank you for that. My girlfriends and I have been discussing this more and more in our GT. Do you guys, our GC? Do you know what GC
group
is?
chat.
Group chat. John, did you know
I
that?
knew that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I had to look it up. Okay, so they discussed it in their GC and are planning on collectively paying for a male sex worker to satiate our sadistic urges that we all have and try to hide and suppress using our secret ways. Blah, blah, blah. You get the picture. You know what we're talking about. Anyway, I hope you didn't find this email boring. And I would like to say that I hope you guys continue the work that you do and remember that you have a strong female fan base that looks up to you and respects you and wishes to see you guys continue with all the great work you do. Keeping it anonymous in Portland, Oregon.
That's a really great email. I love that. I love that they recognize just how cool and chill we are. We talk about so many different genders and poly stuff and pan stuff and bi stuff. We just we talk about a lot of different things, and I think that resonates with a bunch of different kinds of people. Most of these fantasies out here are just guys talking about blasting ropes and on women and diapers and things like that. But I feel like we really have a cast a wide net. Yeah, what did you guys think about that?
I think good for us. I think we're finally getting through to people and showing them some cool stuff.
I tell you what, if I'm just going to go out on a limb here. If they want to torture me, if her and her friends want to torture me, I'd be cool with that. You don't even have to pay me. I'll go over to their house and they can do whatever they want. I think it'd be cool. It'd be an honor. It would be an honor.
How far would you let them go?
God, I don't know. Nothing permanent.
No scars.
No scars. Nothing. No brain damage. no castration, nothing like that. Nothing that's going to end me up and like make me have to miss work by being in the hospital. So like waterboarding, electrocution, psychological torture, sexual torture is all on the table.
Right.
Right.
You write when you're in a situation like that, you write all that stuff out.
Yeah.
Nathan, did you see Baby Girl?
Not yet. I've been wanting to. You guys keep telling me about it.
John reminded me of this great scene that sounds unreal that I forgot about,
So
where
sexy.
Baby Girl is at a restaurant, and this guy's starting to sniff her out. He can tell that she's into something weird.
Yeah.
And he anonymously orders her a tall glass of milk at a fancy restaurant.
That's sexy.
And then she drinks all of it.
Whoa, what?
Ooh.
She
chugs it.
Yeah, her friends are like, "Oh my god, who ordered this fucking drink for you?" She drinks it. It's a tall, ice cold glass of milk.
Can I tell you guys a true story?
Yeah.
And do you know what story I'm going to tell, Mike?
What's up, bro? Shoot for it.
You can edit this out, Mike, if you want to. But one time in high school, Mike and I were at a diner.
Oh yeah.
And it was one of those diners where you could just go in and drink coffee and smoke like all day, and they nobody would care because nobody was ever in there. And these two women came in, like young girls came in, maybe about our age, and they were cute. And me and Mike were just, I feel like we must have just spent hours in there, just like bored out of our minds. And so Mike and I got to talking. We're like, hey, we should order those girls some pie. And so we called the waitress over, and we're like, yeah, what kind of pie do you guys have? And they're like, it's one of those places where you can see the pie and like the case in the front. And so Mike orders them some pie, and the waitress is like, hey, those guys over there are ordering you some pie. And they're like, we don't want it. And she's like, you sure? It's on them. And they're like, no, we don't want any pie. Mike gets up and walks over to them, and he's like, what's the matter? You don't want our pie? You're too good for our pie?
I was like that. I was like, why didn't you want our pie? They're like, they thought it was funny. We're like, we just don't want it. It was terrifying. It was so scary.
That was about the worst case scenario that could have happened.
Psycho.
Like, reject the pie.
Were you in high school?
It was fun.
Yeah.
Imagine going to a diner and it's full of teenagers smoking
drinking coffee. Yeah.
That is really weird. You go to a diner with your family to have an early dinner with your baby. And a bunch of teenagers are smoking cigarettes all over the place.
Cursing loudly.
It's crazy. So guys, I don't know. I've been saving up for a couple months. I guess I should just break the news to you now. Like, I've spent like the last 3 months saving money, and I'm really thinking I'm going to move to Switzerland with all the stuff that's happening.
Well,
what do you think about that?
First of all, I'm glad to see you back. You've been kind of like in the wind for a while. But it's good to hear that you have some direction. You've been grinding and making some money.
I just can't take Donald Trump anymore. I tried to be like apolitical, but I really can't take this stuff with Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I want to move. I'm just going to move to Switzerland. I figured, why not? It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's easy to do. I might as well just do it. I got the money. Okay, so just letting you guys know. I mean, next time he's probably like a couple weeks, I'll be moving into
that's cool.
This new house.
It's pretty seamless transition. I hear it's easy to do that.
It's just, it must be done.
A lot of people I know keep talking about, like, they how they can just pick up and move to like Canada for a while or like France for a while, and it's just super easy. Like, you just go and move there, and until and you just come right back. Like,
come
maybe
back.
The orange man, the orange bad man gets a little bit less toxic, and you can move back. It's no big deal. It's like a 7-hour flight. Who cares?
Switzerland.
Hey, I've been meaning to ask, and then we can get into fantasies because I know we're trying to keep these things tight. Do you guys still stand with Ukraine?
Nah.
Like, honestly, I think it's sad. I think it's really. I think it's sad, but I honestly think it's Joe Biden's fault for doing just in being intrusive over there. He knew what he was doing, and it really is his fault. And why am I being serious right now? I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. That's how I've come to understand it, and it's been so
I don't know.
long.
I just feel like people don't stand with
Why are you
Ukraine much
asking me
anymore.
this? What do you think?
I think I
No, they absolutely don't.
yeah. Especially in
see
my
flags every once in a
area,
while.
there's a lot.
Oh, people stand with Ukraine.
A lot of Ukrainian people here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just sick. These guys need to. I wish they would work.
Yeah,
it
they
out.
just need to work it out.
Basically, whatever. They need to end the war. God damn it.
That being said, which do you one of you guys want to start us off with your fantasies?
I could start.
Okay, Johnny.
You go.
I'm not gonna do the one.
Okay.
That one's lost forever. I'll bring it back,
God,
and
it's so good.
I'll bring it back once it's fresh out of my mind. You know.
Okay. Okay. So just so everybody knows, we had a recording session and we had some technical difficulties. So
Yeah.
John laid out just this fucking amazing fantasy, and hopefully it finds its way back. I won't say too much about it.
I was in a flow state. It was crazy.
Yeah.
This one doesn't really have any legs, but we'll see. All right. So I'm a day trader living in New York City. Hot dude. Muscles, lean body. Just like my body's a temple. I really take care of it. I'm like a hype beast. Everything I wear is just insane. I've got everything's fresh. Like every shirt I wear is ironed and like pressed, dry cleaned. But everyone knows I'm kind of like I'm a scumbag. I know the city very well. I know all the hot spots. Big into nightlife. I go out every night, party hard, but I keep my body lean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So our work hires summer interns every year, and we sort of take them under our wing and just kind of show them what it's like to be, working in the stock market. So we hire this kid. He's like an Ivy League kid, really nerdy, really green. He's really good at math. He's like a genius level, like with numbers and math and shit like that. So his job is to find errors and mishandling, like with anything. So he's in the lunchroom. I introduce myself, and a couple of my friends walk in, and we sort of just start talking about sex. We're talking about, I'm trying to be extra aggressive in front of the kid just so he knows what I'm all about,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm telling my friends about how I was having anal sex, and the asshole was like clinching me and like almost sucking me in. And I keep looking as I'm saying this. I'm looking at him to see if he's reacting, and he's not really reacting. He's kind of like got his head down. He's turning red and he's really nervous. And I'm like the whole like the whole was like sucking me off. It was crazy. You ever had that? Look at him, and he's like, "What?" And I was like, "You ever had that?" He's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "You ever had the hole suck you off?" And he's like, no, not really." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I look at my friends. We start laughing really hard. I get out my food. I heat it up, and I've got it's like just a protein bowl, just like all this like fresh, it's ground turkey, and like there's eggs in there. It's just straight protein. Like but it's cooked really. You can tell that it was like cooked by a chef, you know. And then he pulls out a bologna sandwich. It's like bologna. It's just bologna and ketchup on white bread. And all the guys were just like staring at this kid, and just kind of, we're not really razzing him, but we're definitely not asking him shit about himself, and we're just kind of being really aggressive with each other. Oh, so I asked him what he gets into when he's not working, and he said, "Well, I like to do math a lot, so I work on that a lot. I'm always trying to practice and figure out new theorems and stuff like that. So that's pretty much all I do. I like to hang out at home." And I interrupt him as he's talking, and I'm like, "You're a virgin, aren't you?" And he says, "No, I'm, not really. I don't know." I was like, are you into girls or boys? What are you into?" And he said, I'm into women. That's cool." I said, you ever, you ever fuck around with one?" And he's like, "Yeah, I get my nuts played with sometimes." And then we all start uh, we all we all start laughing. And I was like, you get your nuts played with?" And he's like, "Yeah, like it's something I'm into." I'm like, it's whatever you like, that's cool. So we finish out the week, and I'm talking to another coworker, and I was like, "I think I'm gonna take that kid out and get him laid, give him to have some real sex." The guy's like, "Yeah, do it. It'll be fun. Take him to that Chinese spot. It's this underground spot I know about. It's really fucking great." Um, the head chef, Chan, he's a really cool dude. He's like always hooks me up like with like, whatever I want to eat. So it's like super underground. It's like a speakeasy almost of just Chinese food. So I pick up the kid, and I'm wearing a Prada, like all Prada, and I got a Tom Ford suit on. I look like fucking James Bond. It's just like it was made for my body, I've got a little handbag. It's just got a huge wad of cash in it. Okay, so we go out, order him food. He tries to order. He's like, "Can I just get some like noodles?" And I'm like, no, you're not getting noodles. You're getting, I'm ordering you sushi." So I order this crazy like sushi boat thing. Just a lot of food, mostly protein. I'm like, you gotta start eating this kind of shit, man. You can't keep eating fucking bologna sandwiches. And he's like, "I know." He's like, "I just, I like that." I was like, "Just trust me. All right. You're in the big city now. You gotta start eating good. You gotta start taking care of yourself." I grab his stomach, like pinch his stomach. I was like, "You gotta start taking care of this shit." He's like, "Yeah, I know." So we we eat. I'm drinking sake bombs, which is like one after another. Just I order him a few. He's like, "Oh, these are pretty good. I've never had sake." I'm like, "Yeah, have another." They give him another sake bomb. Then we go to this club, and it's like just some heavy ass techno happening. And I'm like, "You ready? You ready for this?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think so." I pull out a blue pill. It's like an ecstasy. And I'm like, "Open up your mouth." He opens his mouth, and I put it on his tongue, and I sort of swipe the inside of his mouth aggressively. And he's like, so we start dancing, like he's into it, and it's getting late. It's like 3 a.m. We're both sweating like crazy. He's having a great time. And I'm like, "All right, we got to do one more thing." So we stop at this little like brothel place I know about. And I'm like, "All right." I'm like, "What do you want to do? You want to have sex? You want to get head? What?" And he's like, "Is there anyone that will play with my nuts?" And I was like, "Whoa, I'm like, what? What? Just tickle your nuts? And he's like, yeah. I mean, pretty much. He's like, it's just something I like. And I'm like, no, you're gonna like, when you get head or something like that. And he's like, okay. So I pay for him to get a blowjob, and he comes out of the room, and I'm like, how was that? And he's like, it was cool. I liked it. It was fun. And I was like, okay, I'm glad you had fun. So go back to work the next day, and he's sort of found out that I was taking some like petty cash to pay for these like nights out. And he says something, he tells me, he's like, I think it's coming from your office. And I'm like, fuck, you gonna report it? And he's like, I don't know. You took care of me. I'm not just, it's okay. He's like, let me take you out sometime. I'm like, okay. So it's a couple weeks later, I'm like no longer using petty cash. I'm just like trying to just be straight at the job. And the kid can see that I'm kind of miserable, and I'm just like not having fun. I'm not working out like crazy anymore. I'm like gaining a little bit of weight. And he's like, yeah, I think it's time I take you out. So he picks me up, and at this point he's got like some money, so he sends me an Uber, like an Uber Black, it's like a nice car, I'm like, oh, okay, he's like, this might be kind of fun. And he's like, you showed me that Chinese restaurant. He's like, I know a place too. And he's like, we're gonna go to Ding's. You ever been there? And I was like, no, Ding's, what is that? And it's just this little hole in the wall Chinese spot. Some of the best food I've ever had. Just incredible food. Cool, like super cool vibes. There's like a bunch of like indie rock artists in there. And it's just really like Karen O from that one band is there. Yeah, she's there. And Stephen Malkmus is there from from that one band.
Catherine Hanna.
Catherine Hanna's there from Bikini Kill, right? Yeah. Carrie Brownstein from Portlandia is there. Yeah. Thurston Moore is there. There's just like a lot of heavy hitters.
Whoa.
And then there's also like a lot of like rappers are there too. So just like it's a who's who of everyone.
Holy shit.
So I try to order something, and he's like, no. He's like, get the noodles. I was like, just the noodles. He's like, just get the noodles, trust me. So I order the noodles, and they're just like the craziest noodles I've ever had. They're delicious. I'm like, oh, these are really, I've never had anything like it. And he's like, yeah. He's like, he's like, Ding makes the best noodles I've ever had. He's like, you're gonna love this place, and now that you've been here, you can come here whenever you want. I'm like, oh shit. So this kid sort of like pulls a little power play on me. And I'm like, fuck, okay. He's younger. He's definitely younger, so maybe he knows some cool shit. We go out to a club, similar club to the one I took him to, but vibes are totally different. The music's heavier, you know what I mean? The dancing's more aggressive, way more underground. It's almost so heavy. It's the techno's so heavy that it's almost like metal. But it's not quite industrial. You feel it through your bones everywhere.
You know what that kind of music is called?
What's that?
Gabber.
Yeah, it's gabbercore.
Yeah.
He hands me he crushes up a Vicodin. like in his between his hands. He just smashes it down. He makes me snort it off of his fist. And when I put my nose down, he pushes my nose back. I'm like, oh fuck, this kid's an alpha. So we're dancing, and he's like, what do you want to do next? I was like, man, I'm beat. I think I might just head out. And he's like, nah. He's like, you gotta get your nuts played with. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what is that? I was like, you've said this multiple times. I was like, is it something more than what I think it is? It's the same as you just scratching your nuts. And he's like, trust me. So we go to this little spot. This old woman comes out and grabs like a big bottle of lotion. And this kid's like, yeah, just do he just wants nut play. And she's like, oh, okay. So she just pulls my penis up to my stomach, just lays it there. Like it's just a piece of meat, it's nothing. And she starts massaging my testicles with the lotion. Every time it starts to get sticky, she spits on them. She just keeps rubbing them. And it rubs it past the point of, like way past an itch. And it's more like I start feeling it in my fucking toes. Like, I'm like, holy fuck, this is somehow a full body experience. She does it for like 25 minutes and I'm literally drooling. And then I'm completely flaccid. And he looks at me and he's like, you ready? And I was like, I think so. I was like, this is amazing. And he looks at her and he's like, do it. And she sort of puts a little bit of pressure underneath my testicles. Not quite my, she's kind of pushing on. She's pushing through my skin to my prostate aggressively. And I ejaculate all over my stomach and face. And it's the best feeling I've ever had. And the next morning, I hire him on full time. And that's it.
Man, what an amazing story.
Yeah, Professor Ding.
So it's like
it's Roger Dodger in reverse is what it is. If you remember that movie.
I remember the name of it. So wow, it's pretty interesting.
It's what a story. I mean, there's just like a real story there. It's sexy, it's hot, it's erotic, it's fun.
Yeah.
But you're like bringing this guy, this guy takes you into his world. Like,
you show him yours. He first. Hold on, sorry. Nathan.
I show him.
He shows. Yeah. I
show him my world, and I'm like a boomer to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He thinks he thinks it's cool, but he's also like,
he thinks it's cute. It's quaint.
It's cute. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at first, you don't know what he thinks. You think you're alphaing him.
Yeah.
I think
but
I'm
you
alpha,
only learn.
I'm not.
Yeah, you learn that like, hey, look, it's okay to sit in the back seat and watch a young buck show you some new tricks.
Right.
Yeah. And and when you first started off was like, you ever have the asshole suck you off? Yeah. In his mind, he's probably just like, man, that's
why would I?
Yeah.
He's like, why would I want that?
Yeah, because I know this whole other world.
Yeah, because
he's like, that's weird.
He's a different generation.
Yeah.
Where he's like, why would I? He's thinking, I know there's no way that whoever's asshole that is enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yet
he's like a decent guy.
Yeah, but he's respectful to you. He's not like condescending or like like he respects you as his elder, but he sees it as like, yeah, this is cool for you.
Yeah,
like
It's just a different it's a generational thing. I think we're all kind of feeling that right now.
Mm-hmm.
You see, you talk to one of these younger people with a giant jean pants and giant white shoes, wearing a tank top, and they're racially ambiguous, and they have like really curly hair, and they are you really can't. Well, whatever. It's just they're different. They're greasier in a
For
way.
sure.
I also like how when he went to Dings, even though he's like really young and hip, everybody there was like 50 or 60-year-old indie rock star from like the 90s.
Yeah.
Uh,
I didn't put that together.
But
It doesn't.
no,
Yeah,
We get the
it
idea.
doesn't matter.
It's
I'm
like a
not.
cool
I'm not
place.
saying that's like, like point out like a timeline flaw or whatever. But those are the kind of people who would like be so desperate to go to like the hot hit place and to be seen there.
That's
true. To be relevant in some way.
Right. That's sad as
Yeah.
hell. Good job. Great story, man.
Yeah.
Hot.
And actually, go ahead, Mike.
Just one thing really quick that really stuck with me that I feel like if I don't share with you, if I don't interrupt Nathan and I don't share it with you, I'm going to forget it. When the lotion dries up, the old woman spits on her hand. And just that is just like one of the slimiest, grossest things that a person can do. That's why it's so erotic, so hot, so humiliating, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that you felt it in your toes really paints a picture of like what kind of intensity you're working with.
Just reactivating lotion is very funny to me.
Adding liquid to it.
Yeah.
That's good. So that ties in nicely. It's a nice transition into my fantasy. Because you're talking about like a younger generation. My fantasy deals with like an older generation. So, and if it's okay with you, Mike, I'd like to proceed with mine. So I'm a like a younger guy, like early 30s, like late 20s, early 30s, and I've done everything right in life. I got into the school, I got into the grad school, I got the job. I work for like a big time like law firm in DC, and I'm really feeling my oats. But I'm very career oriented. I haven't had a lot of time to kind of connect with anything romantic, any romantic partners. Like I'm very much, my life evolves around work related things. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, a whole round of layoffs happens. And the department, that we do, the government department we do business with is stripped of its funding. So I get laid off for an indeterminate period of time. And I'm sitting there, like kind of with this crisis in my life of like, what do I do? Like, I'm paying rent in this this kind of like nice apartment in DC, and but I don't have a job, and I don't know when I'm going to get another job. So I kind of take it as an opportunity to go and spend some time with my family. And I have a brother who lives up in the mountains, and he's just had a kid and with his wife, and so I don't renew my lease. I go out to the mountains, and I move in with my brother, and he's got a nice big house. It's in kind of a it's in a pretty like it's in like a college town, so it's out in the middle of nowhere, but they're still kind of close to civilization. And he lives right on a lake. He lives in like a housing community that's right on a lake. And so I show up, and it's kind of like it's nice at first, and I get to connect with my brother and spend some time with the baby and his wife. But I'm feeling really like lonely, and disconnected from my life in DC, and also like just bored, honestly. My life was so fast paced, and my brother's like, well, like you're kind of just sitting around here. Why don't you if you go down to the lake over at the pier on the other side of the lake, there's a bunch of like old timers there that go fishing. And I know it's not that exciting, but it's definitely relaxing, and you can just kind of like chat it up with them, and they're really friendly guys. And so I go down to the pier, and sure enough, there's like four old timers, real like never wore a drop of sunblock in their life, leathery skin, gray gray beards, truckers hats, like they have the hats that's the like Vietnam War veterans hats. One guy has, another guy is just like still chewing tobacco at the ripe old age of like 75, and just real like salt of the earth guys. And I tell them who my brother is, and like, oh yeah, come on over here, and we got an extra pole for you just to have yourself a seat if you want to crack a beer. And they just start talking, and it's really relaxing, and they're talking about fishing, and they're talking about the different tackle they use, and they're talking about just like really calming, like like run of the mill middle America old people kind of stuff. And so I'm getting kind of comfortable, and one of the guys, the guy with the Vietnam War hat, he starts talking to one of his friends, one of the other guys, and he's like, "Did I ever tell you about the time I perfected the tornado?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, you told me that." And he's like, "Well, I'll tell this guy. I don't think he's heard." He's pointing to me, and he's like, "There's a move that I learned in Vietnam. Like we used to go into the brothels in town, and the sex workers there would teach like you'd spend enough time around them that you'd learn a thing or two." And I learned about a move called the tornado. Where you turn your tongue in a very quick and wet way in concentric circles, like in and around the clit. And he goes on to describe in detail like the actual maneuver, like actually how to do it. And I'm sitting there like taking it in. I'm like, can't believe what I'm hearing. Here's this like old timer mountain guy like telling me, give me sex tips. But I hold on to it, and my brother takes me out with some of his friends, and we're out. We're shooting pool and having some drinks, and the bartender's a woman. She starts flirting with me, and it's closing time, and one thing leads to another, and I'm in the car with her, in her car, and I start to go down on her in the front seat of her car, and I'm like, I'm gonna try out the tornado. So I do the tornado, and it's like, like magic. She just, my face couldn't have been wetter, and she's just like pulling my hair and wrapping her legs around my neck and digging her nails into the back of my head and just screaming. And she pushes her leg against the car so much that she opens the car door with just the sheer force. She doesn't even pull the handle. She just like kicks her car door open. She has such a strong orgasm, and I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Like this tip really worked. So the next day I go back to the fishing spot, and I say, hey guys, I used the tornado, and it was fucking it like blew this girl away. And they're like, oh, that's so good, kid. That's so good. And I walk over and I sit down to go fishing, and these guys are just like talking about whatever, talking about like a diner that they like, but the food's gotten too expensive, or just some like run of the mill stuff. And they keep talking. And one of the guys walks up and grabs my ear, like really, really hard, like with like old man strength, right? And he pulls me up. I'm like, what are you doing? Doesn't even really acknowledge it or talk to me. He's just like continuing his conversation about this diner food. And I'm like squirming, but there's only so much you can do when somebody's holding onto your ear that hard. You can't get away. And he like leans me, like drags me down by my ear onto the deck and holds my face against the deck. And it's just like carrying on this conversation while I'm like squirming and like yelling at him to stop. And everybody there is just ignoring me. And eventually he lets go. And like I get up and I'm rubbing my ear. I'm like, what the fuck? And there's no mention of it. It's the strangest thing. But right after, they start talking about another sex tip. So I just kind of keep my mouth shut, because I'm like, here comes the sex tip. Like this is something nice. And they're talking about how if you put castor oil underneath your tongue, then you're like 5 minutes before you you have you start having sex, then you're like 20% more blood is going to run to the tip of your dick, and it's going to like really pop in there. It's really going to pop when it's penetrates. And so, sure enough, I'm out and I go on a Tinder date, and we end up hooking up, and I rub the castor oil underneath my tongue, and it is just the most, not only is it the most pleasurable thing for the woman, my date, but I have the most insane orgasm. Like I can't even, I come so hard, like I lose like I lose time and space for a second. It's almost like ego loss. I lose a little bit of consciousness. My legs are cramping, my feet are cramping, my I'm shaking, and then I kind of come to, like, by the time like I regain consciousness, so to speak, I feel more relaxed than I've ever felt in my entire life. So I go back to of course I go back to the doc with these old timers, and I tell them about it, and they're like, "Way to go, kid! That you really, it took me a couple times before I mastered that technique." Blah blah blah. Um, and then one of the guys, with the guy who was wearing the trucker hat, like as I was telling him the story, he grabs my chin with his like strong hand, a strong like old man hand, and he's like grabbing me by my jaw and really hard. And at this point, I'm not even trying to resist, because I'm getting so much like sexual knowledge from these guys. So he's just grabbing my jaw, and he just starts slapping my face like this, like giving me like hard slaps. I'm like shaking my face, and he sticks his hand in my mouth, and he starts like widening my mouth with his fingers, and they taste salty and they taste fishy because he's been handling bait, but he's like molding, like pushing his hand inside my mouth, like stretching it out. And the whole time he's not even looking at me. He's like talking to his friend. And these guys are just sitting around talking. But then, again, they start talking about the sex tips, and they're like, if you put a mint leaf in your pants before your date, the mint scent is gonna, like, oil is gonna rub off on your dick, and then when you put it in, it's gonna stimulate the woman in such an insane way. And so sure enough, I do it, and the date is just absolutely just screaming and gyrating with pleasure, and I start to get a reputation around this like small town as like this guy that just has all these insane, awesome moves, and so I start getting like repeat dates, like the dates I went on, they want to go on other dates. And so I'm becoming this kind of like player, just bouncing around and in this small town, just like having sex with a bunch of different women and using all these moves from these old men. And every time I go back and they give me a new sex tip, like one time the guy grabs me by my hair, and he dunks my head in the water for a really long time. And right when I think I'm about to drown, he pulls it out. Another time, one of the guys just grabs me and holds me down on the ground and just won't let me go, and I'm like trying to move and shift and stuff and get comfortable, and he's just pressing with his full strength to be down on the ground. But then he lets me up, and so I go to my brother, and I'm like, I really appreciate you like put me in touch with these old timers. They've really changed my life, and I'm actually going to go see them today. Again, if you want to come down, they listen, they have some great sex tips. Like, I'm sure you could take something, to the bed with your wife. And he's like, well, don't go down there tonight. Tonight is Friday. They're never there on Fridays. They always go do something else. And I'm like, well, what are they doing? Like, what are like four old guys who are retired and have nothing going on? What do they have to do on Fridays? And he's like, well, they have like a fishing lodge that they all go to, and like they play cards or something. I don't know what it is, but nobody ever, bothers them, and they just know that they're not going to be fishing on Friday evenings. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. So about a week goes by, and I hear from my boss calls me up, and he's like, hey, the job's back on. You're back on. Like, come back to DC. You're going to be reinstated. Everything's cool. Going to be back to how it was. And so I'm like, fuck, I'm having kind of a nice time out here. I'm enjoying myself. And I go down to the dock to tell the guys bye, just to say, I'm leaving this weekend. It's a Friday and nobody's there. I'm like, oh fuck, that's right. They're at their fishing, like their fishing lodge or their fishing shack or whatever. So I go and find out where their fishing shack is, and I go over, and by this time it's nightfall, and I go over to try to find them so I could say goodbye because this is going to be my last opportunity. And so I walk up to the fishing lodge and I look in the window and I see this like very well attended sex party, a very well organized and well attended sex party. And what's basically happening is these old timers are systematically and in a really organized way pleasuring just a whole bunch of women from the community. So like women are lined up and the guy's there and he's eating a woman out, and then after she's done coming, another woman comes and so it's these older men in the community that are just like pleasuring, sexually servicing all these women that come by. And I look, and the guy with the Vietnam War hat, he's just like he's having women sit on a table and he's having sex with them on the table, and there's like a line forming around him. And I noticed he's starting to like look pale, and he grabs his left arm and he falls down on the ground. And he like gets up on his own power and kind of like walks off to the side and sits down, and he takes some pills out of his bag and he takes them, but he's like clearly shook, and there's like he needs a minute to rest. And one of the other old men just like very abruptly turns and looks directly at me, like he knew I was there the whole time. He's like, Nathan, come in. I need you to tap in for Hank. Hank's out. I need you to tap in. So I'm like, me? He's like, yeah, come in, tap in. And so I go and I take Hank's place, and I start to have sex with this woman on the table. And I'm using all the moves and the techniques that these guys have taught me. And the women that are like surrounding me just kind of start to descend on me, right? They kind of like the order and the order that was established by these old guys kind of breaks down. It's kind of like when a substitute teacher goes into a classroom and the kids start acting crazy, And so they're like one woman, she grabs my face really hard and she starts smacking me around, and another woman like pulls my ear to the ground. Like 6 or 7 women are holding me down while they're like riding me and like sticking stuff in my ass. Another woman drags me by my hair and dunks my head in the toilet, and I can barely breathe. And then she pulls me out, and the whole time I just don't skip a beat. I'm like these old timers have just kind of like like developed me into this like sexual service, like the sexual like caretaker of all these women. And so I quit my job. I called my boss the next day. I'm like, I'm done. And I just spend the rest of my days up in the mountains, like doing these fuck fests with these old timers, and I just like fucking my way through this small village, this small town, and I've never been happier. And that's the end. That's the end of my fantasy.
Wow,
It's nice.
it's really
Kind of the ultimate fantasy.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. See how it
become
ties in nicely to yours. It's like a different
Yeah.
generation teaching,
But just
me the
becoming
way.
like just becoming a slam pig for someone is awesome.
Yeah.
This is cool. To find peace. This guy finds peace.
Yeah, because I've got purpose. I've got meaning.
Yeah. Not in the swamp.
No, and I'm sexually servicing, like providing a sexual service to this community.
Oh. Or healer.
Yeah.
Like a sexual healer.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
And it all started with you hearing them talk about the tornado, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Did the tornado.
What's cool about that is that you have to then you'll have to start roping another guy in.
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
You know? This
Yeah,
one has a lot
maybe
of similar.
I was gonna say
Sorry.
maybe I call up you. Maybe I call up John. You know what I
But
mean?
it's
Bring
Who
you
funny
would you
guys
call
out there.
first? Who would you call first, though?
I think I would call John first because I think you would take some warming up, a little bit more warming up to the idea, Mike.
Yeah.
Like John would be like, I'd be like, hey, you want to come and be like a sexual serviceman in this town? And he'd be like, I'll see you in 10. He'd hop in his car and he'd be there. It might take a little bit more work. Like I might have to work you
What's
over
my
for
thing?
Your thing is I'd be like, hey, you want to come just be I'll teach you how to be very good sexually with a bunch of women who would really appreciate it. You'd be like, I don't know, it's like it's bad allergies over there. I've got my celiac's been acting up. And be like, okay, well, you just sit there and think about it for a while, and then I call you in a couple days, and you'd be like, you know what, you still need somebody to be to sexually service the women in your brother's housing community, housing community, and I'd say, yeah, knowing that it would, you would eventually come around.
Okay.
I think it's
You just wait. It's a waiting game.
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry, John.
I think it's funny that all these guys are like Vietnam and fucking Korean war vets, and you take over and you're just a grad student, right?
Yeah, I'm basically like a yuppie.
Yeah.
An old soul.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they've taught me their input, imparted their wisdom on me.
Yeah.
They saw something in
cool.
me.
Okay. All right. Here we go. So imagine this. You guys, buckle up. Because you're about to get super duper horny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I am a reality. Imagine a bustling TV set. Okay. And I'm getting my makeup done. Who am I? I'm a reality TV star. And what do? I'm a couples therapist. Okay.
Mm.
And the idea behind this show is, get this. Okay. I get couples, all different sorts, lesbians, gay guys, straight women, straight guys, whatever. And I just pit them against each other every single week, okay? And the joke is, they don't know that I'm a dirty comedian, okay? I'm like a New York comedian, podcaster, and I'm playing this nasty trick on these couples, and I'm ruining their things. I'm teetering. I'm like pitting them against each other. Like, well, this week. How about Steven? If Melissa wants you to do the dishes, she wants you to do that. That's an issue for you. What you're going to do is, Steven, is you're not going to do any dishes. Okay. And I know what you're thinking, Melissa. That's wrong because you want him to do dishes. But you'll find if he doesn't do dishes, that you'll realize that you wanting him to do dishes is wrong. Okay. So they come back and they're more miserable than ever. It doesn't make any sense at all. And I'm like, Melissa, you're right. This didn't work out. I mean, Steven didn't really do this the right way. I didn't say to not do dishes. I said just don't do the dishes all at one time. You know what I mean? I make it seem like he heard it wrong. I basically gaslight them. Okay. And obviously this, culminates in like someone dying or going completely insane. What do you think would be funnier? Someone dying or someone going insane? What's funnier to you guys?
Probably going insane.
Or what's like sexier? Someone dying or going insane?
Going insane.
Huh,
John says die.
okay.
I say go insane. Can it be both?
Well, okay. Well, something happens to one of them, to one of the people. Okay, and basically, I have to like flee Los Angeles, because people are so pissed off at me. I'm canceled basically for ruining someone's life. So get this. This is like Nathan's story. I have to move back home to my small town in the South. Okay. I have to move back home. I got to change the way I'm fucking talking. It's just become so automatic. It's so annoying. It's got to be. All right. So I move back home and I live in the South. All right. And I start driving through and everyone's waving at me. They're like, oh my God. Chip's back in town. Chip. They're waving at me and stuff. Hey, Chip. Two people riding a bike, tandem bike or whatever. Chip, did you? And then I stop at the gas station and the guy's old timers pumping my gas for me. Chip, it's been a while. Have you seen? Give me a girl's name. That's good.
Stacy.
Ugh. Okay. Have you seen? Have you seen Stacy yet, Chip? She still holds the candle for you. And I'm like, no, I don't think I've seen Stacy. You know what I mean? The idea being is that I think I'm better than everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be here. You left a long time ago, Chip, and she never forgot. And I'm like, yeah, well, some of us have to grow. Some of us can't stay in the same place. Well, he spits on the floor. It's been good enough for me and my family. I guess you're just built different. And I drive off. You know what I mean? You get the picture.
Mm-hmm.
I go home and I'm stressed. I walk through the door and I'm living with my mom, who's like really sickly, and my older brother, who's like a sweet guy. And he greets me at the door and I'm like, can't talk, need beer. I go to the fridge. I start chugging a beer, right? And I start going to the cat. I was like, where do you keep your gummies? This is like when John came to visit me. This is what happened basically. Like, where do you keep your gummies at? You know what I mean? He's like, those are illegal in this state. Like, this sucks. Okay. I slammed the thing shut. I'm going to get a beer. And he's like, my brother's like, are you going to say hi to mom? And I'm like, fuck off. I slammed the door. So I'm not exactly a likable person at this point in the fantasy. Okay. I go to the bar. I'm horny as hell. I pick up a barroom floozy. We start making out in the parking lot. It's getting late. We go to a hotel. I'm eating her out from behind. She has curly hair. I flip her over. We start doing it face to face. And she tries to kiss me and I pull away. You know what I mean? But we're both busting and she keeps trying to kiss me and I say, no, knock it off. I'm just here for a visit. You guys live here. I don't live here. And she's like, you know what? She's wiping her crotch off with my t-shirt from all the slime and stuff. And she's like, you know what? You haven't changed, Chip. You always thought you were better than all of us. One of these days, you're going to fall back to earth. And I'm like, that gives me an idea. She's a bartender at a bar and she's a total slut. And I'm like, I could turn this into a reality TV show. So I'm start doing lines of cocaine and gummies at the same time. Like I'll take gummies and I'll chop it up and pour salt on it and snort it. And then I'll do a line of cocaine and the other nose. So you can tell like I'm like living like a kind of deranged lifestyle. That's what it says. And I'm also like really fit, 6-pack buff, and I have sex with like another beautiful woman that night. And she is blonde and she is really good at blowjobs. Okay. And I call while I'm getting a blowjob, I call one of my LA contacts and I pitch him this idea. He's like, Chip, you're in a lot of hot water, but this sounds really good. A reality show about bartenders that are women that are sexually promiscuous. That sounds really good. And I'm like, make it happen. And he's like, I'll see what I can do, Chip. Okay. I'm sobering up. I hit a deer. The deer I put it in the back of the car. I take it to the vet. Who's working at the vet? Who do you think?
Stacy.
Stacy's working at the vet. So this is kind of like a beautiful woman that's good natured. Okay. She's just like your neighbor, just like the girl next door. She's really hot and she's wearing a red bra. And I look down her shirt when she's when she's putting the deer in a headlock to like kill it in front of me. I'm like looking down her shirt. She looks up at me and is like disgusted but then smiles. Okay. She's like, let me take you out for breakfast. We go out to get breakfast and we're catching up on all of the great times we had in high school. And I'm like, man, you said you wanted to be something. No, wait. Okay. Yeah. We're catching up on like, I don't know, making out in a barn or something like that. And like fingering each other like in the back seat of someone's car and getting busted by her older sister. And then we ran out naked and everyone saw us and they threw water balloons at us. And it was really funny and silly, like one of the best nights of our lives. And then after that, she says, you never talked to me. And I said, well, after that was graduation, Stacy. And I always told you I was going to be someone else. I always told you I wasn't going to stay in this dead-end town with these dead-end people, with these dead-end ideas. I'm really sleazy about it. My LA really comes out. And she's like, maybe what everyone says about you is right, Chip. I'm literally masturbating while this is happening. Okay, and she was too. She stands up and she pulls up her pants. You see how sexy this is?
It's so sexy.
Dude, it's crazy right now. She storms off. Okay, I run into her father. I fix some pipes of his to make some money. These kids are playing in a pond and one of them starts drowning as I'm driving around one day while I'm doing freelance plumbing to make ends meet. While pitching this show, I save one of the kids who's drowning. A dog, his legs caught in a fence. I saved the dog. And I'm like sleeping with everyone. There's like a brown-haired girl who has pale skin. She's fine as hell. You get to see her naked. We're having sex. And there's like another blonde woman and people of different races too. Sorry to be so white bread about it, but I'm having sex with other people of different races and I am screwing through the whole town. It's pretty hot, but I never get to have sex with Stacy because she's always like my equal match and she always busted my balls. Okay, long story short, this is a lot like Nathan's fantasy. I sell the idea, okay, for let's call pleasure waitresses. That's the name of the show. No, for your pleasures. Let me see. Something like a TV show that's like it's a title for a TV show where it's like it's like hospitality or something. Like down home hospitality. It's the name of the show, and it's about like waitresses from the South that don't take shit from anyone, but yeah, they will fuck you for a price. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're okay. So I sell the show, and this is so much like Nathan's fantasy. I'm about to take a plane back home. And I'm looking for my keys. I'm also taking care of my mother at this time, like spoon feeding her and stuff, and she's like comatose, and like hooked up to an IV. Just so you know, because that comes into play in a couple more sentences. So I can't find my keys. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And my brother's like, oh, maybe I think you left them in the back on this. I think you left him in the backyard on the bench because we were barbecuing. Okay, I can't even talk. I'm so fucking tired and stupid right now. I'm so tired
and horny.
And I'm horny. I'm like playing with my body while I'm telling the story. You guys can't see it, but like my pants are down. Okay. And I go to get the keys. Someone hits me in the back of the head with like a club or something. I knock out. I wake up in the barn where Stacy and I were finger fucking each other that one night, one hot summer night. Okay. And all the townspeople that I helped, the kids who were in the creek, the old man whose pipes I fixed, the dog whose leg was stuck in the fence. My mom is there. They wheeled her ass out, and she's just moaning. It's Chip. Okay. And there's like a circle curtain in the middle of the bar. It's all well lit. Everyone is just like, go to the curtain, go to the curtain. I go to the curtain, and it's Stacy, and she's wearing lingerie. Okay, and she's dancing really sexually, and there's a red flashing light. There's a red flashing light and a blue flashing light, and they're flashing like super fast back and forth. You know what I mean? And she's doing the sexual dance, and she's inviting me, and she's trying to seduce me. And I'm looking behind me, and everyone is like, do Stacy in front of us, do Stacy. And I'm like, this is really crazy. I'm like, I don't want to do this. This is really weird. You guys have always been so weird. That's why I wanted to leave this blasted town and move to Los Angeles. You know what I mean? To make TV shows. Okay. My brother holds up a knife, and he's holding it up to my mother's throat. And that's when I'm like, okay, this is extremely Freudian, you know what I mean? In some way that I can't decipher, and like really dangerous at this point. So I'm like, all right. This whole time I'm like, already know I have to do it. So I'm like massaging myself, you know what I mean? And like my clothes are off, like my jeans are down my pants, and I'm taking like baby steps. I fall to my knees. And I'm doing it with Stacy, but once again, I'm not letting her kiss me. She sticks a finger in my asshole and is like squeezing my nuts in a certain way that she used to do when we were younger. It's like this, she squeezes them down, vice grips it, and jerks it like back and forth, just like repeatedly, like that. And I start crying. Something breaks in me. You know what I mean? I realize, obviously, I love this woman. She's made for me. I allow her to kiss me, and I start crying, coming, and like drooling at the same time, and like spasming, and like, you know what I mean? I can't even catch my breath. My heart is so fucked up. You know what I mean? And I just pass out. And when I wake up, I'm back in my bed, and the phone's ringing. Okay. And it's my guy in Los Angeles. I pick up. He's like, bro, where you been? I can hear him doing cocaine. You know what I mean? And doing gummies and stuff. And he's like, bro, the show's sold, dude. You got to get the fuck down here so we can start closing the deal more and getting the thing off the ground. You know what I mean? Are you going to do it or not? You know what I mean? And I look to the left of me, I look to the right to me, and I look right at the camera, and it cuts. Dude, this is like a fucking movie.
Yeah.
This is like A24 meets Red Shoe Diaries.
Yeah.
And it's got like comedic elements to it. It's satire. It's sexy. I mean, this is a movie. This thing's got legs.
Yeah. It's got like a campiness to it.
Whatever.
You know,
we
like,
could do that.
Like you're driving down the street, like I'm imagining the tandem bike. That's okay. It feels very much like
Pee-wee. It's a little bit like Pee-wee Herman.
Yeah, it's very
That's
Tim
hot
Burton.
right now. He just had like they just made a documentary on it. So like maybe we can get a little bit of that Pee-wee stuff in there. I think we could easily adjust this to get that in there.
What a great fantasy.
That was good.
God.
Thanks,
just
man.
the whole community coming around and like encouraging you in a very like coercing you, I'll say, to have sex with this woman in front of them.
That's the thing I'm going through now. Before I was for some reason I'm on this kick. Before I was on this kick about like having sex for like weird things are happening to your body in this intense, like scary, emotional way. Now it's all about people forcing me to have sex with someone.
Yeah.
Who's nice.
Yeah.
Who's a nice person.
And like you kind of
like every part of me is fighting not to do that.
Yeah, because you don't want to, but you're fighting like like a vulnerability, because you know if you give in completely to Stacy, then you'll never leave that town. You know, and that's the tension at the end. You look to the left, you look to the right. Like, what am I gonna do?
Well, at least it's up to the viewer to decide, like, does he do it or not? Because I respect the viewer, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You give him Give them A and C and let them make B.
Exactly. It's like we were talking about earlier on. It's like if you don't, you put the stuff there in front of them, and if they can put it together, they've learned something.
Yeah. And like when you the real turning point is when you let Stacy kiss you. Because that's when it was game over. You're like, okay, I'm married. I'm staying here. I'm starting a family. I'm, hanging out with my brother.
Yeah. Totally.
So you guys fingering each other, that was like you guys always did that, huh?
Dude, imagine you're sitting cross-legged in front of someone, Indian style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You guys are sitting really close to each other in a candlelit barn, kissing. This is sick. You're both pantsless, but are wearing shirts. And each one of you is fingering the other one while facing them face to face.
That's sexy.
That's
so sexy.
Sick. Holy shit.
Perfect temperature and no bugs.
No.
It's comfortable.
It's golden.
Vulnerable.
Yeah. So you're looking them in the eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my thing. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
that's cool.
Thanks, man. Maybe we should wrap it up.
Yeah.
Perfectly at 9:00. Let's wrap it up.
Hope
good. You guys like that episode. Keep those emails coming at fantcastpod@gmail.com. We're loving these emails. Complimenting us, confirming what we're saying and thinking. Any questions, feel free to ask.
Cool. All right, guys.
All right.
Talk to you guys soon.
See you guys.
Da-na-na-na-na-na.